Today in Cannabis News, an official assessment claims that legalizing psilocybin statewide in California could save the state millions in policing costs. This year, Denver, Colorado residents will vote on raising cannabis taxes to fund coronavirus pandemic research. And according to a prominent U.S. federal drug director, no more evidence is required to demonstrate criminalization's racist ramifications. It's Monday, September 6th, and this is your Trichomes Morning Buzz.
Broadcasting live from the Trichomes.com studios in Southern California. It's time for your Morning Buzz. We bring you late-breaking news that keeps you up to date with what's happening in the cannabis industry.
First up, according to the Independent Legislative Analysis Office, or LAO, a proposed ballot initiative to legalize psilocybin statewide in California could save the state millions of dollars in policing costs while simultaneously generating state and local tax income. The office did moderate expectations, though, by noting that building the regulation framework for a legalized psilocybin sector might cost millions of dollars at first. However, costs could eventually be partially or fully offset by fee revenue. The majority of the LAO assessment addresses the key components of decriminalized California's Psychedelics reformation bill, which campaigners aim to put on the November 2022 midterm ballot. It would be a watershed moment in California legislation, as the state would become the first in the country to legalize psilocybin for both medical and recreational use. Last year, Oregon state voters adopted an unprecedented measure to authorize therapeutic use of psilocybin only.
Next up, Denver, Colorado voters will soon decide whether or not to raise the city's cannabis tax to support coronavirus pandemic studies. In mid-July, organizers supporting the proposal, which would levy an extra 1.5% tax on cannabis purchases, received approval to place it on the November 2021 ballot. This is in addition to another statewide proposal that will appear on the ballot in November, which would hike cannabis tax to fund initiatives aimed at closing the achievement gap for low-income pupils. The Denver initiative's additional municipal monies would go towards studies into advanced technologies to protect the public from the spread of pandemic pathogens, including at schools, businesses, and hospitals, as well as pandemic preparedness and recovery, including urban, economic, and school planning. The University of Colorado at Denver would assist with research. Advocates with the Denver Pandemic Fund organization highlighted that they have no financial connection to the college and will not financially benefit from any funding in the ballot measure, adding that it is a purely philanthropic endeavor.
Last up, Nora Volkow, the director of the U.S. National Institute on Drug Abuse, has spoken out again about the dangers of the failed war on drugs and the necessity for a new strategy, which includes decriminalizing substances misuse and fostering rehabilitation through a public health-focused framework. Although there are many variations of decriminalization that could replace the current structure, Volkow said in a recent interview that one thing is clear: the drug war has had disproportionately detrimental ramifications for marginalized communities, and that alone should be the purpose for reconsidering the nation's drug laws. It is clear that the United States is currently reckoning with a long history of discriminatory and racist policies, many of which still continue today, Volkow said. The war on drugs was no exception, and by incarcerating Black people at disproportionately high rates, it has had radiating effects into health, economic security and mobility, education, housing, families, areas intrinsically connected with the well-being and success of so many Black and other people of color. More studies to offer insight on the effects of criminalization, according to Volkow, are unnecessary. In science, we often say that we don't yet have an answer, that more research is needed, they added, but the evidence here is straightforward and solid, and needs to inform an urgent conversation.
That was today's Buzz. Thanks for listening. For more cannabis news and insights from industry professionals and a place to discuss these stories and others, visit trichomes.com.
And be sure to catch up with all of our other cannabis industry-related podcasts like Hash It Out, Tech and Cannabis, or the International Cannabis Conversation wherever you get your podcasts. For Trichomes.com, I'm Devin Leon.
And I'm RJ Balde, signing off.